Good afternoon, everyone. Looks like we've got Paul Hampton Techstar, Jeff Dunn, Arizona Coins, and Jeff Dunn. Did I say Jeff Dunn? I did say Jeff Dunn. All in here waiting for this one to get going. You got 5 viewers right now. Gonna give it another minute or two. Let other people have a chance to congregate and drop what they're doing and come watch the greatest show in numismatics. That's the coin roll hunting with copper coins. This is reveal number 148. We have a 1951 Detroit Fed wrapped roll. I'm really excited to get into this one. 1951D is one of my, I'm going to say, more favorite issues because of the wackiness of the different stuff you can find. I mean, 1956D is really nice, but 1951D, you got a really nice double die obverse that 56D doesn't have. And so if you get a chance at finding that double die obverse, well, then you got yourself a real nice coin. Especially if it's red BU, you're talking about, $50, $75, maybe even $100. It is cherry picker listed. It's an FS 101, so that's going to make it a very valuable coin if you get it above MS 64 red. 65, 66 red. Talking about moon money coins right there. Hello, Mr. Patet, John Brandon Bow. Looks like we picked up a couple of others from the notifications. Give it just another minute. Just one more minute, and then I'll get going. I think I'm going to do this as a regular thing. I'm going to kind of talk to you for a little bit here and there the first minute or so, and then we'll get going at about 5 after the hour. I could possibly be missing a flip insert. Let me count these. See where I am with this. No, I just had a sheet out of order. Must have counted an extra flip to put into my package. I was packaging these 50 flips at a time, and I've got an extra flip. Wondering where my problem was. I always have a problem going on, right? All right, let me grab my bag, grab my tool, grab a roll, and we'll get started on this little puppy. Let me scoot in just a little bit closer so I'm good enough to do the job. Jessica, Adam Connor. Hope everybody finds this video doing as well as I'm doing shooting it. Here we go. Get my 51D roll pried open here. And what I'm doing is with a plastic tool, so it's not scratching the coin. Also, what I am doing is prying away from the coins, so I'm not affecting the coins in the wrapper at all. I see some other people doing roll hunts, and they're opening their rolls with a screwdriver. That is painful to watch. Do not like the idea. Oh my gosh, Bug is fully licensed, insured, and driving on her own. Alright, everybody clear the streets. Start with Iowa, and then we'll go to Illinois. I'll need regional coordinators to make sure that we get it spread out to Missouri. Yeah, I'm sure she's a good driver. Fully licensed and insured. Well, that's good. I guess she learned from her first little bump in. Right? Let's get Justin Bussman, his coin. First coin here. Let's take a look at it. Oops, we're in real close. Well, let's look up real close anyway, just to see. I don't see anything with a mint mark here, so we're going to go ahead and back out to normal focal length here. I do believe we have a very nice gem coin. Maybe not. A little spot next to the 5. I see a few spots on this one. This is the roll end coin, though. Don't see anything on the mint mark. Look on over to the eye. Look at the motto. Look at Liberty. Got nothing going on here. Let's take a look at the reverse. See if the other side helps us out any. Not particularly. Looks like we ended up with a normal coin here for 1951D. And that's coin number 1 for Justin Bussman. Doug Reese. Doug Reese gets coin number 2. Let's take a look at coin number 2 and see what Doug Reese gets. It is a really nice coin. This thing's pretty high grade. Very nice original roll, original coin. But we have no die variety on this one. A number of different repunch mint marks on 1951D to be looking for. A number of them are also very nice. 51D RPM number 16 has nearly the appearance of the OMM. So you have to watch out for that, because I have found 16s before and thought I had found OMMs until I looked them up a little bit closer. But it is a very nice repunch mint mark. There are a lot of 1951D RPMs that are very nice. This one's for Farm Dog right here. This is coin number 3 for Farm Dog. Let's see what we have here. Nothing on the date and mint mark, nothing on the eye. The motto looks normal, Liberty looks normal. So let's flip this one over and take a look at the other side. So it's a gray neon? I thought it was red. Or that, I guess your truck is red, her car is gray. Good afternoon, Hawkeye. Hawkeye's in the house. Haven't seen you at any of today's reveals yet. Of course, we've only had one, so. It was a fun reveal. Had nice high-quality coins. The problem was, though, we only had one die variety coin in the entire roll. And although we only had one, it was a beautiful RPM number 3. 1956 DRPM number 3 came out of this last roll. Next coin here is for Matting. Let's find out what Matting gets. Interesting little hump on the right side of the mint mark there. Might have to take a closer look at that and see exactly what it is. Or maybe not. Or maybe. I'll zoom in and take a really nice, good, close look at this mint mark. I'm kind of wondering what I'm seeing here. Well, if I can actually get it back down, there we go, back down to the date and mint mark. See a sudden abrupt end to the shadow on the east part of the mint mark there. But I just don't see any evidence of anything, so I guess we're just going to move on. Thought for a second there I was looking at maybe what could be an RPM, but I don't think I am. Alright, here we go, backed out. Backed out to normal focus distance. Well, this one has some spots on it. Not quite as good as I had hoped. Let's take a look at the reverse and see if there's anything on the reverse to be talking about with this one. Most of these coins with these little spots on them like this, these spots are inert spots. They're not active. They are carbon, but they're inert spots. They're old carbon spots that developed on the roll quite some time ago. And most of the coins that we're passing through here are going to grade a 63 or 64. Most of them grade 64. Because we're talking about grading earlier, I figured I would throw that in there. Hello, J. Rojas. You immediately threw me into my past. And I'll tell you how and why. As a child, I was a huge Kansas City Royals fan. Loved my Kansas City Royals baseball. And there was a player on the Kansas City Royals named Cookie Rojas. Cookie Rojas was a very animated player, did a very good job of playing the game. I don't remember which country he was from, but he was from one of the Caribbean countries, Spanish-speaking countries. I don't think he spoke much English. But he was one of my favorite players to see come out on the field, Cookie Rojas. I saw your name, J. Rojas, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That reminds me of Cookie. I have actually done it time to time. When I see someone's name that's the same as an old baseball player I knew of, I'd ask if they were related. I once met a lady with the last name of Mingori, Mingori. Well, back around the same time of Cookie Rojas, there was a pitcher on the Kansas City Royals. His name was Steve Mingori. I asked her, are you related to Steve Mingori? Oh, yeah, that's my uncle. Wow. That's kind of cool. I used to watch him play baseball. She said, yeah, there's not a whole lot of people who remember him playing baseball. Yeah, I said he was kind of a utility player, but he was a good guy. Your sugar was 465. Good gosh. Yeah, I can imagine. That would keep you from feeling good, that's for sure. So far, no die varieties in this roll. We're up to coin number 7 now. Let's see who gets coin number 7. See if we can find anything for a die variety here. Bill Betts. Let's see what Bill Betts gets. Bill Betts gets. It appears that we have a normal 1951 D. Lincoln cent here. I'm always looking on the bottoms and tops of the letters in Liberty for any doubling because this era is known for that sort of doubling. I'm also looking on the eye because doubled eyelids are relatively common and well known. It was just that your name immediately brought up wonderful memories of my childhood and watching Cookie Rojas play baseball. It was just, I mean, people's names or any word or colors or smells or anything else just do different people for different things for different people. And you get like music or something that'll take you back and make you remember a specific thing. Well, as soon as I saw the name Rojas, I threw myself right into 1970s Kansas City Royals baseball. They were not a well-known team back then. They just started in the 1969 expansion. They didn't go to their first World Series until 1980. They were the 1978 American League Western Division champions, but in 74, 75, 76, they were not much to really get excited about. I did like them, though. My uncle brought me up watching Kansas City Royals, and that was my baseball team. And of course, being a Royals fan, I was a enemy of the Cardinals. Did not like the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm still not much of a Cardinals watcher. This is interesting toning on this one. Nothing going on that one. That's kind of weird. That's just like a haze on that coin. That one goes to Mr. Worley. Oh yeah, definitely. Of course, I've spent some time around Spanish-speaking people and can pronounce Spanish names relatively well because of the letter J, which us blanched out people here in America call it J. It's the letter J. Spanish call it J. Makes a hard sound. Like Jimenez, Jose, Juan, and Rojas. That rival, yeah. Of course that rival still goes on today. It's never going to end. People who are Royals fans detest the Cardinals, and people who are Cardinals fans detest the Royals. But history has it, or at least recent history. Of course, the Cardinals have won more games, and they've won more World Series, and they've made more World Series appearances and all that good stuff because the Cardinals have been around, well, pretty much since baseball. But the Royals have only existed since 1969. They've made a number of appearances in the World Series. They've won 2 of them, I believe, now. Oh, Adam, you get me started on the Royals, buddy. I can pretty much name the entire starting lineup and probably most of the roster from the 70s. I watched the Royals incessantly when I was a kid. Collected all the baseball cards. Absolutely loved that team. Saw a number of games up close. First one being in 1977. Went to see a doubleheader of the Royals and the Oakland Athletics. At that time, I did not realize that the Athletics were only 8 years away from having left Kansas City. I didn't know that back then. I liked the A's back then because they had one of the few bright green uniforms that I could tell was actually green. I had colorblind issues, and I like color combinations that are very clashing color combinations. Green and yellow are one of my color combinations that I really like, and then the other one I really like happens to be blue and orange. I really like blue and orange. Blue and orange or black and orange? Well, these coins are turning out to be not as pretty as I had hoped they would be. Got some really nice looking end coins, and you get in the middle and they turn spotty. That's right, 85 and 2015. 1985 got down to Game 7 in the World Series. At one point in time, the Royals had been down 3-1. They came back to win Game 7, an 11-0 shutout. Willie Wilson, center field, caught the game-ending out. There's a large number of different little factoids about the Kansas City Royals that I always thought were very interesting. For instance, the Kansas City Royals at one time employed the shortest shortstop in Major League Baseball. The shortest shortstop in Major League Baseball at that time was a 5'7" Freddie Patek. Fell through, so you inherited the Braves. Milwaukee got the Braves. Then they ended up with the Brewers. And then the Brewers ended up going from American League to National League. It's one team that since my childhood has changed leagues. There's one other. The other team that changed leagues since my childhood was the Houston Astros. They used to be National League and now they're American League. All the rest of the teams that are not new expansion teams have not moved or changed since I was a kid. Well, they might have moved, like Cross City or something from one stadium to another, but they haven't moved from one town to the next town or anything to that effect. And there's a lot of teams that have come along since I was a kid. I can remember 1977, when the baseball cards came out in 1977, I was getting my little packs of baseball cards and opening up and looking through them, and I saw this card from this really, really strange team called the Mariners. I didn't know what the Mariners were back then. Of course, I didn't know that that word was Mariners, but that was a brand new team, the Mariners. So I waited with bated breath to find out more about that team. They were out of Seattle. I remembered that there was a team not too long ago that had fallen apart in Seattle. They were called the Pilots. So, Adam, I'm guessing you know George Brett? He was my favorite player growing up. I still, to this day, have a baseball bat that was signed by him. So there's one player who had his rookie year in Kansas City, and a lot of people don't realize he ever played in Kansas City because they pay a whole lot more attention to his later days in baseball. But he played part of his rookie year in Kansas City, and they moved to Oakland. He played a year or so in Oakland, then he moved on. His next team was, I believe, the New York Yankees. Or no, it was actually... No, I think his next team was the California Angels. That would be Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson actually played part of his inaugural year in Major League Baseball in Kansas City. Yeah, George Brett was always my favorite ball player. Second to him was Robin Yount. And third to the two of them was Nolan Ryan. I really like Nolan Ryan and his pitching style. All three of those players retired at the end of the 1993 season and gave me very little reason to continue watching baseball. All of the players that I had followed as a kid either had already retired or were retiring that year. That's right, Seattle Pilots became the Milwaukee Brewers. They did get good, and they were fun to watch, especially when Ken Griffey Jr. was around. That is definitely true about the Mariners. I remember another team that started showing up in the 1977 baseball cards, and I did not know who they were either. I mean, it was all foreign material to me. But it was the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays of Toronto were a brand new baseball team in 1977. And I first picked up baseball cards with them on it. Now, if you'll remember, if you collected baseball cards as a kid, you would know what I'm talking about. They had what were called team cards. They were cards where they got the entire team lined up on bleachers and took a photograph of the entire team together. And they would publish that photo on a baseball card. They did that for years and years and years. Well, in 1977, they had team cards. But 2 team cards, those 2 new teams, the Mariners and the Blue Jays, they had a picture of the manager and a couple of the players, or a few of the players on the team would be on the team card. And it would not display images of the entire team because, well, they never really had a chance to get that together. Let me get Justin's card into his flip insert here. Go on to Thomas. Thomas. What does Thomas Square get? Well, unfortunately, it's looking like we're probably not going to run into any die varieties in this roll, but they are relatively nice coins. I'd really like to meet George Brett again. I know he wouldn't remember it, but there was a time when the Royals and the Cardinals, before the 1985 season, came to Memphis. And they played in Chicks Stadium. The Memphis Chicks were just moving away from being a Montreal Expos farm team, and they went to being a Kansas City Royals farm team, 1985. And so the Royals and the Cardinals came to town for an exhibition game before the season started. They played their exhibition game, and I was hot to trot to get as many Royals autographs as I could. Of course, I also ended up with Dane Orge and a few of the, or was it Garth Orge? Can't remember which one played for the Cardinals. But I ended up with George Brett's autograph that day, and here's how it happened. The team was taking batting practice, and I was up there watching them do batting practice, and a guy by the name, jersey number 35, had come from the Seattle Mariners. His name was Lynn Jones, uniform number 35, came up to do his batting practice, and he cracked a bat, knew it was cracked because of the sound it was making, so he decided, well, this bat's not worth anything anymore, so he turned around and took it over to the stands, and he gave it to me. So I'm sitting there holding Lynn Jones' baseball bat, and I thought that was kind of really cool. Well, a little bit later, probably the 4th or 5th inning in the game, I was watching the game, and I was alone. I'd gone up there alone that day. I was 17 years old, and I'd gone up there by myself. And I was, probably 6 or 8 seats down from this older gentleman watching the game, and these little kids came up, and they were bringing up their little programs or hats or whatever, and they were having him sign their hats. Oh, well, who is that? So how come he's getting autograph requests? The guy was in street clothes, and he was sitting in the bleachers watching the game. And so I asked him, I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you mind if I ask who you are?" He says, I'm going to be playing for the Royals this year, and I just decided that I'd come and watch the game with them. I said, "Really? What's your name?" He says, my name is Jim Sundberg. So he became the catcher of the Royals. And, I got him to sign that bat. I had a blue Sharpie with me. Of course, it was blue, royal blue. I had him sign that bat for me, because this is a guy that was playing for the Royals. May as well have him sign the bat, right? So I had him sign the bat for me. And then after the game, I went over to where the bus was that was going to take the Royals back over to the airport. And I waited and I waited and I waited for them to come out of the locker room so I could get another George Brett autograph. And so I waited for George to come out, and of course everybody was crowding him wanting an autograph. Of course that's what I wanted too. So he kind of ignored me sorta at first, and then somebody put up a program in front of him, and well, he didn't have a pen to sign it with because someone had just taken their pen back. So I handed him my blue Sharpie, and he signed that autograph, and he signed another one, and he signed another one using my blue Sharpie. And I said, "Mr. Brett, will you sign my bat? You're using my pen." He says, "Oh, yeah, sure." So he signed my bat, then he gets on the bus. I'm like, dude, you got my pen. So I actually boarded the bus. I got up on the bus and I said, Mr. Brett, can I have my pen back? By that time, the guys were, chasing me up the bus, trying to drag me off the bus, and he kind of waves them off, gives me the pen, kind of looks me in the eye, and is like, "Hey, good going, kid." And I got off the bus and went on about my business. But I actually had to chase George Brett down for a pen because he was going to take my Sharpie. I didn't make $1,000 a day like he did, because I know he made a lot more than that. But I couldn't afford to buy another Sharpie. I want him to get away with my Sharpie. Well, this was back when, oh man, I doubt people would ever even have access to the buses anymore. But back then, this is back when the team would come out of the locker room, and it'd be just like a high school football team coming out of the locker room after a game, get on the bus and go back home. Well, this is basically what that was. They got on the bus and went to the airport, and I was over by where the bus was parked waiting for Mr. Brett to come out to get his autograph on my bat, and I did. I still have that bat. It's a number 35 Louisville Slugger Lynn Jones baseball bat signed by Lynn Jones. It's signed by Jim Sundberg, and it's signed by George Brett. Of course, I did get other autographs that day that I was very happy to get. Of course, now I don't have them. Those went with the collection of cards that I had back in the years, but I got 2 autographs of people who are no longer with us. Actually, there's probably a lot of them that are no longer with us, but 2 of them were no longer with us after a couple of years. One of them was Dick Hauser. He was the new manager, took over from Whitey Herzog. Had Dick Hauser's autograph, and I also got oh man, now I've forgotten his name. It was a rookie pitcher in 1985. Was one of the players that they gave accolades to at the end of the season. What was his name? Brett Saberhagen. It's my understanding that he passed away. I also know that Dan Quisenberry passed away. I had his autograph. One of my favorite catchers ever, Darryl Porter, he has passed away. There's Alejandro again. It's coin number 27. We're more than halfway through the roll now. We haven't found any dive varieties. This isn't unheard of. It is just a slight bit unusual. This is a roll that was sourced to us by Adam Chambers. Oh, I liked Mike Schmidt too. Man, it was a booger getting his rookie card. That was a high series rookie card. Wasn't easy coming up with that card. 1973. So I didn't start collecting until 76. So 73 was kind of back there for me. I had to trade with older kids to get those. But I liked Mike Schmidt. I liked him all the way up until they played the Royals in the World Series. Then I didn't like him anymore. Him and Tug McGraw, Greg Lozinski, all those players from the Phillies back then. I don't think Faye Vincent's still around. Well, I got the cards back then and threw the gum away. And my dad used to always get on to me because he wanted to know why I would pay 15 cents for a bunch of pieces of cardboard and a stale piece of gum when I could get a good piece of gum for 5 cents. I said, Dad, it's not about the gum. I did not then and still do not now chew gum. Didn't like it. I tried it a couple of times just to see what the whole thing was all about. And of course, it falls apart into powder in your mouth. There's no actual gum there. You weren't born till 79. No, I was collecting cards in 79. I remember the one big card that everybody was after that year. I can't remember the name that was on the card, but it was a player who was with, had something to do with I think the Braves and the Blue Jays. If I can remember correctly, it was a player from the Braves that they put Blue Jays at the bottom of the card. And so the team name on the card and the team name on his hat didn't match. I'm thinking his name was, wow. I mean, I got a lot of cobwebs over baseball up in my head. Was it Dale Murphy? Is that right? This one's got toning on it. I think it might have been Dale Murphy's card. Then, of course, the whole error card idea wasn't really that much of anything at that point in time. This one's got nice toning on it. It's mostly on the reverse, though. This is for John Brandon Bow. Randy! How you doing, Randy? No, Fred McGriff wasn't playing back then. I'm talking 1979. Chipper Jones wasn't playing in 79 either. Dale Murphy? I think it was Dale Murphy. It was a couple of years later when Don Russ came out with their first regular baseball set. That was 1981. You remember all the error cards in those? Good gosh. Error cards. You had cards where people's names were spelled wrong, then they changed the spelling of the names. They had cards where the photo plates were backwards, and they flipped the photo plates around to the right direction. 76, everybody wanted Mark Fidrich. It was probably my best memory of 1976 set was Hank Aaron's last card. Sireg gets the next coin. And I'm at a loss for die varieties on this roll as well, as it appears. I'll come out empty on this one. Had my excitement way up about this, hoping that we would get some really nice die varieties. Turns out, no RPMs, no double dies. We're only 32 coins in. We keep moving. You weren't even a thought when most of these people were playing ball? Yeah. Buddy, I tell you what. I go back to the day where I can remember seeing Willie Mays play baseball. I can remember Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson just passed away not too long ago. Had Brooks Robinson, had Frank Robinson, you had, who were some of the other big players in the early mid-70s? Harmon Killebrew. Whitey Ford was still playing a little bit of baseball. And then the players that had retired but were still alive at that point in time that you could get autographs from. Really cool. People like Ernie Banks, Ted Williams, and Willie Mays. Of course, Pete Rose still played baseball then. He played baseball up until 83, 84. He was a player manager for the Philadelphia Phillies for a while before his gambling problem ended his career. Hello, Ida. You got a bunch of baseball cards in the back of your shop? But you don't remember who's who. You know, they make magazines that help you look up those players, but I tell you, if those cards were made after about 1980, they're probably not worth much. There was a huge glut in the market in cards in the mid-90s that basically tanked the entire market. Now, if you want a card that has value, you're going to have to get one that's PSA graded 9 or 10. And people collecting sets of cards encased in plastic. Back then, we just put rubber bands around the teams and moved on. I remember there was a guy who was about 10 years older than me. I used to go to the library. My mom would let me go down to the library, and he'd meet me at the library, and we'd swap baseball cards in one of their meeting rooms. And that's when I first learned about vending boxes. Those red, white, and blue boxes that had baseball cards in them that you could buy. They never went into the wax packs. They never had any gum with them. They were boxes, I think, of 500 cards. And that's all they were. Just boxes of cards. And those cards were in perfect condition. And I remember swapping stuff with him to finish out my sets all the way back to 1970. He was a nice guy. Probably let me take advantage of a whole lot of things I probably shouldn't have been able to get for what I traded. Stuff like Lou Brock cards and things like that for a little of nothing. I had a great time with my baseball cards back in the day. I pretty much quit baseball when baseball quit on me. I tried to stay interested after Brett, Yount, and Ryan retired in 93. Tried to stay interested through the 94 season, then they had an owner strike. And they never ended up playing a World Series in 1984. Or 1994, I'm sorry, 94. I was already an adult at that point in time. I was married, and I was kind of waning on the idea of cards. I didn't really enjoy them as much as I had used to enjoy them. And so, once Brett, Yount, and Ryan retired, and the card manufacturing machine was just getting greedy, because you had, when I first started, there was only one company making one set of cards per year. Pretty simple, 660 cards and you were done. 1981, that went to 3 companies making 3 sets of cards. And then 1988, Upper Deck came along. Then 1990 or 89, there was the Pro Star or whatever it was for the basketball and football cards. And then 1991, I think it was. No, it was 89. Score came along. It was 90 or 91 for baseball. And then the All-Pro set and all that other crap that came out. And then they had Stadium Club, and they had Special Deluxe cards and pull cards and chase cards and all kinds of other cards. And then they were actually taking little shavings of baseball bats and putting them in cards and putting little pieces of uniform cloth in cards and signed and autographed cards and all that stuff. And it was like, man, this is just going to be too much. And that's what they did. They basically busted the market by way over manufacturing. Being greedy, want more money. So, the greed in the market, the persnicketiness over grade of cards. If you had a card that was near perfect, it'd be a $150, $200 card. But if it had one little tiny dog ear on a corner, or if it was cut off center, it was a $10 card. It just didn't make any sense. You couldn't buy them for anything. But you sure couldn't sell them. And the card dealers were, I think they were overwhelmed by the amount of stock that they had to order to keep up. Everybody, their mother and brother, would come in looking for a pack of cards that you didn't carry because there were just too many different ones. It just got to a point where the industry was not fun. The industry was mostly for the speculators and the business people. And to this day, 1988 roughly up through about 1993-94, there are tens of thousands of cases of unopened material because of all the speculators and people dumping their money into the market back in the early 90s, buying all this stuff by the garage full to speculate and sell it later when it would go up in value, and then it went down in value, went down in value, went down in value, and now it's completely valueless and it's still sitting in those garages. If I really wanted to go back and collect all the cards I actually enjoyed collecting back then, it'd be a lot cheaper now than it was back then. I bet I could buy boxes of packs of cards from the 80s for $5 or $10 a box now. They had your business people, they got into doing coins first, where they would take coins and they would over-speculate on coins, and then you had to have a perfect coin for it to have any value. That's kind of what happened to the whole Morgan dollar thing. I kind of liked Morgan dollars when I first started back when I was a little kid. I kind of wanted to collect Morgan dollars, so I bought up 10 or 15, 20 Morgan dollars over my years. But they were basically coal coins. We're talking about XFAU, possibly some uncleaned stuff or dipped or whatever, but they were still Morgan dollars. And I remember looking at the price guides after PCGS started doing slabbing back in 1986 or 87, and you had this numerical grade stuff that they were putting on the coins with labels, and the label on a coin would be an MS-63, and it would be a $75 coin. But an MS-64 would be a $200 coin. An MS-65 would be a $10,000 coin. I'm thinking, who makes up these numbers? This is ridiculous. Hello, CBS. That was just ridiculous. Well, I didn't know that would eventually happen to the rest of the coin market. It really kind of started off with the Morgan dollars. Yeah, we're up to number 43 now. And that goes to Adam Chambers. Well, I remember all the Star Wars cards and all those too. The first Star Wars set was a blue bordered set. The second set was a yellow bordered set, and the third set was a red bordered set. I remember those very well. Saturday Night Fever cards. I had a whole uncut sheet of Dukes of Hazzard cards one time. See, there were Elvis cards. Remember the Elvis cards well. Remember Kiss cards. They did cards of a lot of different things back then. Short sets. Back then, that's kind of like what hockey cards were. Hockey cards were the extraneous card set of like 150 or 200 cards or whatever. They didn't cover all the players. They just got the best of the best. It was almost like a traded set, but it was just a regular hockey set every year. It was back in the 70s. Timothy Morrell, next coin in line. Well, I'm sorry, we're not getting a really great roll here. We're not getting any of the die varieties I was kind of hoping for. I was hoping to at least get some RPMs out of this. Turns out we're not getting any RPMs, no double dies. I've been through almost the entire roll. Little to no chance that we're going to end up with anything in this roll. Catherine Bach. I remember her very well. Her and her Daisy Dukes. Oh, we had our dream women back in the 70s, that's for sure. Cheryl Tiegs, Samantha Fox. There was Farrah Fawcett. Actually, all the angels. Farrah Fawcett, Kate Jackson, Jacqueline Kennedy. Jacqueline. Was her last name Kennedy? No, it wasn't Kennedy. Jacqueline Smith. What was Kate? Kate Jackson. Kate Jackson, Jacqueline Smith, Farrah Fawcett, Cheryl Tiegs. Well, that's carrying me back in time. You like Jeannie? I like Jeannie too. Jeff Dunn. Jeff Dunn comes up next for coin number 47. I can remember the thing on Sundays, Sunday mornings, we'd get up and we'd have a nice family breakfast. Then when the weather was decent outside, we'd open up all the windows in the house. And a stereo in the living room would come on. We'd listen to Casey Kasem and the American Top 40. And we'd clean. Clean, vacuum, clean rooms, do laundry, everything on Sunday. And that was with American Top 40. Casey Kasem and the American Top 40 hits just keep coming. I thought his show was really interesting to learn more about music. It was just very interesting. Today we haven't done anything with learning coins, though. I guess this hour we've spent a lot more time learning about Kansas City Royals baseball and baseball cards. But I really liked Casey Kasem back in those days. I liked listening to his radio show. I thought he was a very good voice for what he did. Really enjoyed listening to him. But the thing is, I didn't connect a couple of things with Casey Kasem when I was a kid. I know we've already discussed this, but I always found it to be very fascinating that I could listen to Casey Kasem every Sunday morning on the American Top 40 Countdown, and I could watch Scooby-Doo every Saturday morning and listen to Shaggy and not realize that those two guys were one and the same. Shaggy is Casey Kasem. Casey Kasem is Shaggy. Never knew that. And how old I might be? Well, I might be 52 this year if I behave. All right, last coin in the roll. John Brandon Bowe. John Brandon Bowe gets coin number 50, and this is coin number 50. Unfortunately, nothing on the obverse. And nothing on the reverse. I'm sorry about this, folks. Unfortunately, this roll turns out to be a really easy job for me because I don't have anything to look up. But it turns out to be a disappointing roll in that I love it when you guys get really great coins out of these rolls. But this one just didn't turn out to be a producer. Which is, I mean, that's normal. It's to be expected once in a while. All right, so I appreciate it, folks. You guys deserve some sort of a prize for listening to me all this time. Dr. Demento. I remember that. TV show Soul Train. Yeah, I remember seeing Soul Train a few times. Not very much, though. Well, that was... So I also remember Dick Clark's show. What was that? American Bandstand. And then I think, most of the time I was growing up as a kid, there were two things that came on the weekends that I didn't necessarily care for. I always left the TV when it was on, but one of them was the pro wrestling. That they did that pro wrestling. It was a Mid-South thing, I think. I'm not sure that it really went on to other parts of the country. And then the other thing was that Dance Fever. They had a TV show called, I think it was Dance Fever or something to that effect, where they would basically just dance to music through the whole show. It was kind of a very pointless show as far as I'm concerned. Oh, should I add reveals? How many do we have watching in here right now? Let me know how many people we've got watching in here right now. I can't see it. For some reason, I'm showing that there's 5 people in here, but I know there's a lot more than 5. So 33 total? Okay, I think we can do it. Let me get myself ready for it here real quick. I have to get my rolls. I have 2 rolls that I would like to reveal. And I'm going to have to get these coins out of the way and get my keyboard out and be a business person for a moment. Everybody stick around. I promise I'm getting there. Okay. I have to get my sheet together here real quick. And let's see. I'll do it in this sheet. Is Jessica around? Of course you can still do the Scent Project, Steve. Just go to thescentproject.com, take a look for forms. There'll be forms there that you can fill out, and then at some point later I'm going to have a place where you can actually enter those into the Scent Project website. But for now, you can just use the forms. I don't guess Jessica is here. Okay. Well, let me get this set up real quick. I'm going to be doing CRH 150, which is an original roll reveal. Number 150. This is a 1953D. Original machine wrapped roll. Let's see here. And I'm going to do this. This is going to be a special. Let's see, I got these. That. And I'm going to do an A&L of 40 on this. Counting for this week's show. Sale. Okay. So I have 50 of these spots. Wait a minute. Let me get this out of the way. Sorry, folks. Let me just give me a minute. I got to get my paperwork done here. There we go. Now, count these and make sure I got 50 of them. There we go. Okay. And then there's going to be CRH 151. 151 is going to be original roll reveal. Oops. It's going to be number 151, and it is a 1954S. This is a I believe it's 1950. Is it 54S or 54D? I have to look at it. I can't remember if I bought a 54S roll or a 54D. Okay, that makes it better. This is a 54D, and there's an RPM on the end of the roll. So it's a 1954D roll. And then this one is a Fed Reserve Bank of Cleveland. And once I get started, I can actually type. I have to think about what I'm typing first, though. Yeah, that's number 151. And I'm going to do the same pricing on that one. Count these out. Make sure I've got 50. And then I'm going to color them yellow. Okay. So the very first thing that we have is a 1953D. This is a machine wrapped roll. It's an original machine wrapped roll of 1953D. And there is some toning at the ends of the roll. I know this is an original roll. This came from my friend in Arkansas. And so we are going to do this one. It's going to be a limit of 3 coins per person. They're going to be $3 per coin. Get yourselves ready, because we're getting ready to go on this. Hey, Jess. There we go. You can go now. Roll reveal number 150, a 1953D. We've got a 3 coin max. I have to ask, Yo Mongol, are you registered with us? You have to be registered to participate. You can get registered with us real fast if Jessica is around and can take your email address. Let me get down here and see if you are registered already. Okay. Never mind, you are registered. So Yo Mongol is good. Okay, let's see here. Going back over to the sheet. I'm on the 526 number 40 auction sheet in Coin Night Live auction. If you want to take the names down, I would definitely appreciate it. Or if you're not available, just tell me and I'll take care of it. Oh, you're in the sheet now. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see. We've got Chuck Patilla for 2. Randy wants 3. Adam Chambers wants 3. Deanne wants 3. James Worley will take 3. Jeff Dunn for 3. Farm Dog for 3. Then Steve A takes 2. Eric Beyer for 3. Paul Hampton for 3. Joe McBride for 3. Yo Mongol for 2. New Marshall. Hey, New Marshall. Wants 3. Shannon McCord for 3. This should be a nice roll. It's a 53D. I can tell it's a nice original roll. Both of these rolls are nice original rolls. The end of it smooshed down just a little bit because I put them in tubes to store them. But they are original. All right, so there's 3 for Joe McBride, 2 for Yeoman Gold, 3 for New Marshall, 3 for Shannon McCord. Two for Bill 457 and 3 for Hawkeye. There will be 3 for Thomas Thomas. So I got 3 for Thomas Thomas and then 3 for Techstar. And that's going to fill up the roll. That's all I got left. Sorry, CVS, you got in there just a minute too late. Now this one's a little bit different of a 1954 roll. I've never seen this exact same kind of printing on the wrappers for a Fed Reserve roll. This is a Fed Reserve wrapped roll, 1954 Denver. And these rolls, they specifically come from the Fed Reserve Bank of Cleveland in Ohio. Put it straight up and down there. You see. So we're going to do these at $3 per coin. Max 3 per person. There is an RPM sitting right on the end of the roll. So somebody's going to get an RPM out of this one for sure. And I am going to get you started here in just a second. I want you to get your trigger finger ready and go. We got Eric Beyer for 3, Shannon McCord for 3, James Worley gets 3, Randy gets 3, Chuck Patilla for 2. Farm Dog gets 3, Paul Hampton for 3, Joe McBride for 3. Deanne will take 3. Steve A for 2. Adam Chambers for 3. Jeff Dunn wants 3. Yomangol takes 2. New Marshall will take 3. CVS gets in this one for 3. And Thomas will take 3. Bill 457 wants 1. And that leaves us 3 remaining. The 3 remaining will go to Hawkeye. David Carlisle, you have to send us your name, your YouTube name, probably the same thing, but your name, your YouTube name, and your PayPal email address to coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. Send us that information and you are automatically registered for free. So we did get Hawkeye's 3, and we had 1 extra at the end, and Techstar got that one. So thank you, Jessica, for the impromptu help. And thank you to everyone who has put their effort into these rolls today. This is a 1954D. We have a 1953D. And then a 1954D. Both of them nice red rolls. And that's going to be the last of what I do for this week because I do have to get prepared for the big auction. We're going to have a nice size auction come Tuesday. Then we'll take a week off after that. So get yourselves ready for the auction coming Tuesday. I'm going to be auctioning about 60 items on Tuesday. Generally, I do 25 to 40 items. So we're going to do close to 60 items on Tuesday. Got some nice coins coming up. Nice coins and small coin lots. Should be fun for everyone. Fun for the whole family. And to Adam Chambers, thank you for supplying us with this roll. And we're not going to be doing anything tonight. This is our last roll for today. Unless you're talking about coming back on for the live coin Q&A tonight at 8:30. I don't know whose channel it will be on. It's either going to be on I would say it's probably either going to be on Jeff Stanley, Mantic, or Coin Dragon's channel. But there's no more reveals set for today. I'll be busy this evening. I won't be able to be here. So you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is our next roll reveal. Now these are going to be done, these two that I just sold are going to be done Saturday evening. Saturday evening at 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time, in order, 53D, then 54D. Now tomorrow I've got a 42D roll coming up, 42D. It's a tubed roll coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. That's roll reveal number 149. And then these two, number 150 and number 151, will be coming up on Saturday evening. So you guys have a great evening, and I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. If you show up at the roll reveal, 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. Thanks, folks, and have a great evening.